On the 24th of January 2025, I completed my mission of 1,000 consecutive half marathons. It was almost 3 years in the making. They say you have to visualise yourself on that podium at the end of whatever it is you want. And I think everyone should sort of do an audit in their life as often as you audit your phone, or, at the start of every year you'll buy a new calendar, won't you? Well, do you actually do that with your life as well? Do people ever take a step back and actually look, where am I? What am I doing with my life? Where do I want to see myself in 12 months' time? I think you get to a level where it's just a normal to run 13.1, so it's good to push beyond those levels and challenge yourself and then come back down to the 13.1. So I'm Helen Ryvar, I'm 44 years old and I'm from Wrexham in North Wales. I'm a single mum to 3 teenagers and I like to run.
Just a little bit, like to run just a little bit. We'll get into that. First though, for anybody that is watching the episode of this podcast, I don't think we've had anyone on the podcast as of yet who has a better background than Helen. She's actually on holiday right now, and if you're just listening, I would say go and watch the YouTube version of this, because there are 2 palm trees behind Helen's head. The sky is so blue. Where are you, Helen? What are you doing right now?
I'm in Puerto de la Cruz in Tenerife. I'm just on a half-term break with my 2 twins, which is a much-needed holiday for a bit of rest and sunshine after the dismal weather in the UK, and just to after finishing my run streak, basically, just to have some time out.
So we'll get straight into it. Run streak. You've just completed one of the most insane run streaks I've ever seen. I think the world has ever seen. Just give a little bit of context to what you have just finished, and kind of the reasoning behind why you decided to do it.
Sure. So on the 24th of January 2025, I completed my mission of 1,000 consecutive half marathons. It was almost 3 years in the making. My original goal was just to run 150 consecutive half marathons to raise funds and awareness for various charities. It was my second streak, so I had already done a streak of 111 during COVID, during lockdown, and I became the Guinness World Record holder for it. So my record stood at 111, so I was only ever trying to beat that figure. But it just kept going and going and going, and eventually on day 1,000 I decided to call it a day. So yes, so that's what I've just completed.
It's unbelievable, and I had the privilege of running with you a while back. I want to kind of dig into the mindset of the continuing of this challenge, right? Because as you just said, you only really went to beat your last world record, but you beat it, and then you beat it again, and then you just continually beat it every single day. Why did that number of 1,000 become the one that you stopped at?
Well, there was a guy ahead of me called Mike Ishevit, who's a good friend of mine. He challenged me to streak again in the first place, and he actually went to 1,078 consecutive half marathons. So he's got the unofficial world record for men. Well, he did have. Someone's gone past it now. So he kind of always had this shining torch. So for me, I'm like, well, if he can do it, there's no reason why I can't do it. So he made me believe that everything was possible. It always takes somebody to sort of break barriers for you to sort of believe that you can do it. So I had this newfound confidence that I could actually do something bigger and better than 150. And also David Goggins. Everyone knows David Goggins' 40% rule. So as always, when you think you've finished, you've still got 40% left in the tank. So I just kept challenging myself every morning. Can I go again? Can I go again? Can I go again? And if the answer was yes, then I went again. Quite often I would just show up. The answer could have been a maybe, but I'd still show up. And within the first mile or two, it was like, yeah, I can do this. So some days were easier than others. Some days were longer than others. But the key was just to show up and just try. And if I couldn't do it, I couldn't do it. And day 1,001 just wasn't happening. I did plan for it to maybe go on further, but it wasn't happening. I got bursitis in my knee. So it was like an omen from the gods. So Micah made the 1,000 goal seem possible. It could have gone on, like I say, but for me, getting to that 4-figure mark was enough. And I have nothing to prove anymore. If someone wants to challenge that, then please do. It's not an easy mission by any means. I might have made it look easy, but there've been some hard days. I'm a single parent. I've got kids. I've got family. I've got a full-time job. It's juggling all of those things on top of the running. I like to travel. I was away every 2 months last year. So incorporating travel is really hard into your runs as well. So it's not just the physical task of doing it, it's managing your day-to-day life. That's probably the hardest part, but I've done it for 1,000 days and other people can too.
Let me pick a random day 762, right? You're not going to be able to go back and remember exactly what happened on that day, but just talk us through kind of a standard day in your life when you're streaking.
Sure. So on a weekday, I'd always get up at 4 a.m. There'd be one alarm on my phone, 4 o'clock, and I'd get dressed and get out of the house by 4:15. I met you on one of those
Yeah.
mornings, and I would run from my front door to my front door. So I'd meet some people sometimes as witnesses. So they'd meet me at the shop, which is a stone's throw away from my house. And we do different routes depending on the weather and the time of year. So I didn't have anything set in my head. They would always be 13.3 miles, though, or more, just to make sure I cover that 13.1 for Guinness, because there's always some discrepancies. So I'd always run over my target of 13.1. And then on a weekend, I would do more flexible time. I'd try and incorporate park runs or maybe some races, official races all over the world to mix it up. Some of those races would be as long as ultra marathons. So I did a 50-kilometer London ultra marathon and a 50-mile Chester ultra as well as part of the streak. Because I think you get to a level where it's just a normal to run 13.1. So it's good to push beyond those levels and challenge yourself and then come back down to the 13.1, and it makes it seem a little bit more normal to do that every day. And I did some marathons as well. I managed to do some really fun stuff. I did one with Sean Conway and his I'm 105 challenge. And I did like quite a lot of big races across the world as well, some full marathons. The most recent one was in Malaga in December before I finished the streak. So that's a typical routine. I also like to run to yoga and stuff like that to try and incorporate some stretching. I know you're supposed to do a lot of fitness, sort of weightlifting and stuff when you run. I'm aware of that, but I just didn't have the energy. But yoga really helped me just keep supple and keep my body in shape. So I'm going to try and do a little bit more of that just now too.
I'm sure people have asked about the recovery element of things, the nutritional side of things. Was that something that you put a lot of onus on when you were doing the challenge, or was it kind of you kind of just had to give your body what it needed when it needed in terms of that nutritional side of things, but also that recovery side of things?
Yeah, I didn't focus too much on it, to be honest. I knew I had to have a high protein diet, drink plenty of water, eat my fruit and veg. So I try and eat 3 healthy meals a day. It's something I'm focusing on now more in my recovery. You can see I'm still looking quite tired. I am quite tired. I'm just, it's to be expected with what I've just done. So I'm really focusing more on that now. But at the time, I just made sure I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Because I work, I'm a cleaner. I run my own cleaning business. So by day, I'm living it out of the car, to be honest, most of the time. So I have to take sandwiches and pre-boiled eggs, whatever you can take that's healthy, but real foods rather than protein bars and relying on shakes and stuff like that. I don't tend to do that much of that sort of stuff, really. Just nutritional food, homemade cooked batch meals, freeze them, and, but like I say, there wasn't that much emphasis on it, to be honest. I like to pride myself on being just a normal person, like the normal girl from next door. I don't particularly look sporty. I don't have anything special. I have no special equipment. I eat normal foods. Yeah, I can go out and do this extraordinary thing. So I just want to kind of appeal to those people out there that might be just more like me, that think they can't, that think they need to go and buy all this stuff where actually you don't. The only time I'd really need to take some supplements, which I did, were on longer runs. Anything over a half marathon, like a marathon or an ultra, of course, then you need to fuel more and think about it a little bit more. But day to day, it was just eating normal foods, but making sure you're constantly eating. So 3 proper meals a day, try not to snack, and not eating after your last meal, and getting to bed at a reasonable hour. Sleep's the most important thing.
What do your kids think of this, Helen?
Good question. They're here if you want to chat to them. They think I'm, they like it, and they get a lot of respect, I think, in school. Like, everyone knows who I am. Everyone knows me as the runner. Everyone keeps on asking, is your mum still running? And I think they like that. And actually, it's transformed them. One of my daughters is a lifeguard. She's also a student. One of them likes to run, and the other one plays basketball. My son plays basketball. So I think it's encouraged them to do a little bit more with what they do in their day to day. They've been on 5K walks. They've been on runs. One day Marcus came in and he said he'd just been on an 8-kilometer run. I didn't actually believe him. I was like, no, you haven't. He showed me his phone, and he actually had. So it's how I roll with teaching my kids. It's by example and not by telling them what to do. I want them to enjoy it because they enjoy it, like me, for all the right reasons, not because they've been forced into it. So I think they respect and appreciate me more, and they've realised how important an hour is in my day, and they've been the most supportive kids I could have asked for. I'm so grateful to them. They have been there and put up with me having extra long soaks in the bath and, just being moody and tired and having to go to bed quite often before them on an evening. So yeah, I think they're proud of me, which is good, because I feel a big pressure being a single parent, being a mother and a father, and I've got to do everything, and it's hard to lead by example. So you just have to do your best. I want to leave a legacy for them, leave something that money can't buy, and I hopefully have done that for a long time to come.
Yeah, you definitely have done that already, and you should. It's hard to take it, I would imagine, and you'll have had a lot of this over the past month or so, but you should be incredibly proud of yourself, because it is an unbelievable thing. And I remember speaking to somebody about you not too long ago, just before the streak came to an end, and kind of explaining that this person from down the road from where I live in Wrexham is about to run 1,000 consecutive back-to-back half marathons. And it's almost, for a lot of people, incomprehensible, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
it people don't understand it. But I think what you've done and what you prove is, if you just continue to stack, you can get to a point where things are completely extraordinary. And that number of 1,000 does feel like otherworldly, really. But all you've done is been incredibly disciplined. Obviously, it takes some sort of sporting talent as well. I'm not going to refute that, because I do genuinely think it does. But you've just done it every day for 1,000 days, and you've now got this for the rest of your life. And that must feel to you quite like that. The achievement must feel quite special. Do you know what I mean? You have that now forever.
Yeah, it is a great feeling. And one day someone will beat it. Someone will beat it one day. But I was the first, and no one can take it from me. And that's what I really know and respect. And I know it's going to take them 3 years anyway to get to where it was. And then if they go beyond, great. But a lot of people get injured. And this is what I found incredible, that my body didn't get injured until day 1,000. I think it was running a lot on endorphins. And I didn't realise quite how much till this last fortnight, where I've really slumped. The 2 weeks after the running, it was really difficult for me. But yeah, I hope I've set the bar so high that people will give it a go, or at least try something consistently. I found that being consistent in life really has transformed it. It all stemmed from reading a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's quite a common one. But just you are what you do every day, basically. And I was like, well, I can exercise every day. In fact, giving it 100% is often easier than giving it 98%. And doing the same thing, I actually find a lot more efficient than going to the gym, where you've got to get in a car and drive and do your bit, and then you get a shower, then you get on your phone, and it's actually quicker to go and run a half marathon from my front door than to do those other things. So I actually made really good use of my time for the last 3 years. I've really not wasted a moment, and I've crammed so much in. I'm still trying to process and digest it all now.
It's almost just removing that choice as well, isn't it? You've kind of, by telling yourself you're going to do it, you'd like, I haven't got a choice to do it. This is just kind of what I do.
Yeah, and that you have to flick your switch in your brain. You have to understand you can rewire your brain at any point. So you can rewire it whenever you want to. So if I wanted to go out and do the same thing again today, I would get into that mindset. But now I'm on holiday relaxation mode, and you can flick a switch, literally. You just have to do it. You have to be so disciplined and not give yourself excuses. People are so good at making excuses up. Oh, I'm not feeling it today. I've got a niggle. But just go and try. I think we give up too easily.
Can you get into a little bit of the reasoning behind the charities that you decided to support initially?
Yeah, sure. So my ex-husband sadly actually passed away before my first streak, and then we were on government lockdown. So that was a really tough time for me because he was a gaslighter to me. So he was mentally abusive to me for about 10 years. And also my kids were babies then, and I had twins. So I had 3 under 3 to look after. So it was a really incredibly hard 5 years, I would say, when they were little. And his passing was really difficult for me because I had... My abuser was dead, but the father of my kids was dead, and they loved him. And I suddenly became a single parent overnight. And for anyone that's lost anybody, especially a partner, it's the hardest thing you'll ever have to do, no matter what they've done to you. I was still in pieces. So I knew I would, I have been depressed and anxious in the past, and I was like, well, I'm kind of going to go that way again, where I can nip it in the bud and do something about it. I don't want to go on medication. So I started to run, and that was the reason I started my streak, and that was the reason I chose the charity Mind, because He had mental health issues. He was bipolar, manic depressive, had adult ADHD, binge alcoholic, dabbled in drugs, and I was the bipolar opposite, like just single, boring parent trying to be a rock to my kids, do all of those boring jobs that had to be done because he wasn't capable. So yeah, it was a really turbulent time and a really sad time. And of course, we had lockdown on top of that. So we weren't able to speak to anyone or give somebody a hug. I had to tell my kids, they were just little at the time. Maybe, I think they were, I forget their ages actually, something like 7 or 8 and 10 or something around that. You know, they were not old, they were still in primary school. They had to have counselling, and it's been really tough on them. So being this role model to them now means more to me than ever. But that's why I chose Mind. And then during the second streak, I ran for Mind, but I also ran for Cancer Research UK. My dad sadly passed away during the second streak, partly because of cancer. My ex-husband, Julian, also had cancer. And one of my clients passed away because of cancer during the streak. And as I mentioned, I'm a cleaner. So going to clean a house where somebody's no longer there is, again, one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I've really, really struggled with that. Like, they're there, then they're not there, and they're not going to be there again. And that really, really pulled at my heartstrings. And yeah, I wanted to give back to that family a little bit and just run for Cancer Research, who have been really supportive. And I'm actually going to be running the London Marathon for them. So I'll continue fundraising for them up to the London Marathon, which is obviously in April this year. So, yeah.
You really love life, don't you, Helen? Like
I do.
I can tell, like you get every part of life out of life, whether it be traveling or, you know, experiences, or when you're in a challenge running half marathons consecutively, deciding you want to do ultras and marathons and go on trips abroad and have to hike a half marathon or walk and hike a half marathon in a desert. Like it's squeezing every part out of life, and I feel like you do that really well. And do you think kind of the experiences you've had up to this point is kind of one of the reasons that you love it so much and you want to get every little bit out of it?
Absolutely. It gives me a reason to feel alive. I spent so long with the wrong person, and I was so anxious and depressed, and I felt my world was just so grey, and now it just seems so colourful. I see the best in every day. I'm grateful for every day that I wake up. I wake up and I can breathe and I can see my children, and I have this newfound gratitude for every day, whether it's horrible weather in the UK or beautiful weather in Tenerife. I'll still get out and do something and just connect with people, connect with nature, connect with my friends and family, make new friends and family. And it just makes me realise how important time is. I totally respect time now because of cramming so much into a day. And I realised how much you can do with the day and how much of my time I've already wasted being depressed and anxious. And that was my mindset. That was nothing physical wrong with me. It was my mindset. And I'd love to sort of go down that route of, I don't know, life coach, counselling, maybe traveling. I'm just getting into photography at the moment. I'm back at uni in Wrexham, so I'm studying photography. I did do 2 degrees which involve photography, but I just want to make sure I'm up to scratch with my skills. And I'd love to just get a motorhome when the kids have grown up in the next couple of years and just literally go, just go. I don't value things at all. I really don't. I'm very raw, as you can see, and I want people to realise that's okay as well. You can just be yourself and just go and enjoy life. You don't have to put on a face all the time, you know, just go and do what you want, go and jump in the sea, you know, go and climb that mountain. I want to climb this mountain behind me at some point this holiday, and just live life and grab it by the horns, because it's short and tomorrow's not promised for any of us.
People say, you know, time is the greatest commodity, and I think sometimes people back that off, don't they, as being a bit cliche or whatever. But I genuinely think like that is the case, and having the privilege to speak to so many people on this podcast, and, you know, run with so many people over the years and meet so many people, I think that message of just do the thing is so important, isn't it?
Yeah, time is definitely today's currency, and people are so busy. I just find, even I found myself a little bit, we're just slaves to technology, and we all say it, we all know it, but are we doing anything about it? And from March, I'm actually going to try and take a break off my phone and just see how I cope. it became, the running actually morphed into a little bit too much social media. I would rather just keep it, just run for the love of running. I did a run after the run streak without my watch, and that, as you probably know as a runner, is like quite a hard thing for a runner to do. Not record it, just go cold turkey and go out. But that's the level of freedom I want to gain back in my life now. I feel like it's a little bit too much documented, and a little bit, we all doing it though. Like, you look around you, everyone here is on their phones. You know, they're sat at the table with their kids, but they're still on their phones. And yeah, it's fine if that's what you want, but for me, I want to look around me a little bit more and take a bit more of nature. I think we're missing so much out there.
I think as well with what you were doing, it was kind of pressured onto you a little bit, the social media element of things. Not only with the fundraising, obviously you want to raise as much money as possible, so the social media element of that is important. But the fact that you had to kind of document everything for fitness and do it that way, like, that becomes more difficult because you become very regimented in, I have to do this every single day and I have to record it like this every single day. And I know what you're saying. Going out without a watch is so strange, but can be so freeing.
Yeah, it was so liberating. But yeah, you're right. So Guinness World Records are really strict on their criteria. You've got to have videos, witness statements for every day, evidence, or else, you know, here's to say I haven't sent you out or somebody else. So they don't accept any recordings until you've finished your streak as well. So obviously I've got 1,000 days of evidence to now upload. I'm having a break of it this week because that's going to just take a long time. I've got help with it, but it's not an easy process, I assure you. You have to give them your maps, your elevation, and it can't hit. If it hits over a certain elevation, it becomes a different kind of run, and they'll exclude it. So I have to be really careful. Had to be careful in Petra because obviously they're much longer because it was not safe to go fast in the dark there. It's like crazy Snowdonia. But there's no light at all. It's really rocky, hilly. So, you know, there's lots of different factors that have affected my streak. Guinness would love you to go and run the same route like Hilda, my friend, did around the lake, which is great because it's easy for them to verify that it's a measured route. But for me, that would kill me inside to do the same thing day and day again. And plus, I want to make it more of a thing that more people can do wherever they are and whatever they're doing. I think fitness should be made to be something that you can do every single day and not something that just athletes do. And, you know, it's around the track. I think it should be made more accessible to everybody. And I've spoken to another friend briefly about it, Emil, who's on a half marathon streak. I think he's on day 1,200 or thereabout now. And he says the same. He would love it to be slightly less rigid. Fitness should be fun, you know, it shouldn't be a punishment. It should be accessible and available to everyone. And we want to hopefully push for that kind of thing ongoing.
I think one thing that as soon as you finished, I thought about was you're not going to have that hour 50 to 2 hours 15 a day to yourself. I know a lot of the time you're running with people, but again, the vast majority of the time you're solo, right? You're getting out there and you're having that time to yourself. How are you going to make sure that you have that time to yourself from here on out? And because you're not going to have so much time every single day, are you, to be doing what you love?
No, well, at the moment I'm sleeping. I'm trying to catch up on sleep because towards the end, especially, I was functioning on maybe 5 hours sleep a night, which isn't really enough. No. 6 hours is acceptable, just I can function, but I was getting tireder and tireder and tireder to the point where I probably shouldn't really be driving. You know, it was like I was so tired. I was functioning, but I wasn't there. You could talk to me and I'd forget what you said 2 minutes later. So I knew it was time to stop. So I think it's going to take me a good couple of months to recoup and actually re-energize my body. But yeah, sorry, going back to the question.
I think I think you've had so much time, haven't you, to yourself, to be able to what are you going to do moving forwards to kind of make sure you have that time?
People say that, but I like I say, I think the sleep's the most important thing just to recover. And ongoing, I'd like to get back into an early morning routine again, but not so rigid, not like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and do some form of exercise at that time. So in March, I'm going to try and do an hour of yoga every day, or some sort of yoga, up to an hour, let's say, of yoga every day, and just be a bit more mindful of my time again. I've sort of been free riding this last month, just doing what I want, but doing my own challenge, which you may have seen online, which was to eat 5 fruit and veg a day, drink 5 glasses of water, or 2 liters, and try and do 5K throughout the day, but just really, really loose, so you can walk it. You can do it over 2 or 3 different walks if you want. Just make sure I'm trying to get those 10,000 steps in every single day, just to keep some sort of baseline. I've obviously got training for London Marathon, so it's important that I get into some sort of routine soon. But obviously I'm still healing. I've got bursitis of my right knee, which feels like someone's basically stabbed me and blown up an airbag under my kneecap. So I can't say it's very comfortable, and I'm struggling to sleep with that. I haven't been sleeping too well. It's worse when you lie down at night. So it's very normal though. The doctors couldn't believe that I hadn't been injured before. I had literally had nothing throughout the whole streak, so I can't really complain. And it will heal by itself, but it will just take time. So I just have to be very mindful about what I do. But I am trying to do a half marathon every month still, so I might try and run one while I'm out here, but it'll be really slow. You know, it'll be like a jeffing effort. I'm not trying to break any records at the moment, just time on my feet, just to keep that consistency and that level of fitness up. But the time will come. I think I'm trying to get into a new sort of regime at the moment, and that's what I'm finding actually really hard. And they don't talk about that when you do these challenges. When you stop, it like hits you. It hits you like a ton of bricks. It's like bereavement almost. Like my whole routine was thrown upside down. I'd also gone to part-time work with my job, so that completely changed my routine as well. And started this photography. So there's been a lot of changes overnight, and I'm still trying to get to grips with a new routine. So as soon as I've got that, I think I'll be happier.
Do you have to kind of sit back and remind yourself sometimes when you are maybe feeling a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of change? Just remind yourself why this is happening, why you are feeling like that, why, you know,
Yeah,
those emotions are there.
absolutely. And that's partly why I still like, I'm still journaling to Facebook. I think that's my outlook for journaling. I think that's what I use it for. So every day on the runs, I would get back from them, and then I'd spend about an hour in the bath, resting my legs, soaking them in an Epsom salt bath, and just journaling how I felt, how the run went, who I went with. And I'm not doing that now. So I think even on holiday, just to spend a little minute, you know, here and there, just like posting about what I've done today is important to me, just to acknowledge that I've done something today. It's been productive, it's been good, and you know, we're resting, but we're also, I don't know, I just feel like I have to have that hit. It's weird. Every day I have to feel like I've done something. I'm not one for sitting around. It just makes me feel alive, and it's really important to me.
I haven't thought about it this way before, but the way that we've talked about a few different things in this conversation, I feel like you're an incredibly creative person, Helen. Like, whether it be in the creating this thing that you've done over the last 3 years, you've kind of got to this point where you've created this piece of art, right? This 1,000 half marathons in 1,000 days, and that's never going to go, that'll live forever type thing. You talked about journaling, that's a creative endeavor. You talked about photography, that's a creative endeavor. It's like all of these things that you need that kind of creative outlet. Is that would you consider yourself a creative person?
Yeah, well, I did 2 degrees. I did one in fine art, then I did one in fashion marketing, so that would probably fit quite aptly.
Yeah.
I was always really good at art and languages in schools, but really rubbish at other things like science was just not me. So I think that's just my personality, and that's what I look for. And I love engaging. I love people and nature. I just want to really transform my career now and do something that involves those people, because I need to not ever think I'm at the age where I realise you've got to do what you love. I know they say it, but it takes you a certain point, doesn't it, in your life to realise you can actually do a job that you love. I mean, yesterday we went to the local zoo, and I was looking at these people training these orcas, these giant orcas and dolphins, and said to the kids, that's their job. They get paid to do that. You know, and then people could look at people like you know, this is your job. You get paid to do this stuff that you love, and it's totally possible. I think I went to an all-girls school, private all-girls school when I was growing up, and I was made to believe you had to get on the treadmill of life of like being a professional, like a lawyer or a dentist or something like that. And none of those things ever appealed to me. I was always just good at art and languages, and I never got the chance to travel much as a kid. I was one of 4. We just couldn't afford to go abroad. So all my friends were off abroad every year, and we would just be going to Devon or, you know, Pembroke, and it just wasn't quite the same in my head. I always felt like I was missing out on something. So I just feel like I'm trying to give my kids what I never had, I guess, as a kid, and relive my life the way I want to live it now that I can afford to, now that I'm old enough to basically do what I want. So it's a liberating feeling, and just like I say, engaging with communities and cultures gives me so much joy. I've looked at all sorts of jobs out there. Like I said, I'm embarking on this whole yoga journey, so who knows where that's going to take me next. And carry on with the running, obviously, and the mindfulness, and just see where it takes me. I think nothing's planned in life. You just have to go with an open mind and just do your best. And if it doesn't work out, then that's okay. At least you tried, right?
Yeah, I mean, I really, really, really think your mindset is one of your strongest things, right?
Thank you.
It's so amazing here you speak about the fact that anybody could do this, and kind of that motivational vibe that you really, really do kind of put across. I think there's going to be a lot of people right now listening to this and maybe thinking about that decision that they want to make, and they're maybe a little bit too scared to, or that change they want to make and they're maybe a little bit scared to. And I think your message is like, almost do it. Like, you can make that change, can't you?
Yeah, you can if you believe it, and if you can see it. They say you have to visualize yourself on that podium at the end of whatever it is you want. Like, and I think everyone should sort of do an audit in their life as often as you audit your phone, or, at the start of every year you'll buy a new calendar, won't you? Well, do you actually do that with your life as well? You might audit your accounts at the start of the year or maybe in April, but do you do that with your life? Do people ever take a step back and actually look, where am I? What am I doing with my life? Where do I want to see myself in 12 months' time? And for me, I was like, well, I want to have these half marathons under my wing. And, already for me this year, I've already got 24 half marathons done, and it's only February because I finished in January. So that's more than most people do all year. You can do anything if you really look at the year and embrace it. And I think people just get stuck in a rut of a job, and then they get stuck in a financial turmoil or in a relationship. And you've got to realize, if it's not right, whatever it is you're doing, if it doesn't feel right, it's not for you, and you can move on, and it's okay to make mistakes. I think people are so wanting to be perfect and everything now because it's all online, isn't it? People are watching this, I don't know, keeping up with the Joneses sort of mentality, and I think it's all wrong. I think they've got it all wrong. I think if people just found their souls and really searched inside for who they are a little bit more and followed their heart, they'd be much happier people, and it'd be a much nicer world, and we'd have much nicer souls just knocking about. I don't know. A lot of it's to do with who you hang out with, obviously, isn't it? And the people you connect with. There's all sorts of people on this planet, and there's nothing that's wrong. Everything's right. But it's just, for me personally, it's been a journey of self-growth and finding what I really enjoy and who I am. And running's given me that. And I'd love to give other people that knowledge that they can do that too, by just getting out there and trying something new.
I think even just by sharing your story, you're doing that though. Like, I think by you speaking to me on this podcast, or I know you've done a few other podcasts since the streak's come to an end, or even people reading your journals, it's an incredibly inspiring story. And I'm sure you felt that when you finished half marathon 1,000. Did that feel like an overwhelming experience, that when you posted it, this is the end? Like, how did that feel internally to you?
It was really hard day 1,000 because there was a chance I would have gone on, like I mentioned earlier. So there was a chance in my head, my next milestone would have been 1111. So that would be to do 1,000 over my current Guinness World Record, and to cross the 3-year barrier, and to sort of be on a par with the men. And a lot of those men are still going. So there are a few of us that was sort of running all over the world together. And a lot of them were telling me keep going, but I always said as soon as I got injured, I would stop. So my leg went, literally, I struggled to even walk on it. And I was just so depressed that weekend. It was the National Running Show. And I thought, you'd think I'd be the happiest person. But no, I found it really very difficult to sort of engage with the running community and be happy, because I knew it was the end of something massive. I was like, I'm not going to do this again now. I'm not going to get to 1,000 again. Oh, I very much doubt it. Not with a half marathon streak, because I know how much blood and guts has been put into it. So it was almost like the end, a bereavement, like I say, the end of something. And I had to move on in 24 hours to the next chapter. And that was very, very hard.
Yes, the end of something, but I guess you're feeling now the start of something new, right?
Yeah. So something new will come, but I'm not sure when. I haven't decided what that is yet, but I know just to keep consistent in my day-to-day routines, keep some form of exercise going, and just showing up for myself. So I'm still, like I say, recovering, which is hard because I've never had that before. I've never been injured before, so that's a big part of it. But definitely vitamin D, which is why I'm here. I'm not here for a jolly. I'm actually here because I know I need to get some sunshine. And I know the kids need a break, and I now need to get out every day and just see the world.